Used car prices have increased over the past 2 years faster than ever, and I'm sure that you've heard car repos are increasing. So in this video, I'm going to read some of the stories and talk about where people went wrong as somewhat of a gory view of the economy. Hi, my name is April. I'm a technical recruiter. I talk about tech news and tech jobs. Now, the auto industry is affected by the microchip shortage. It's needed to create the electronic panel of cars. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know that car production has been slowed down for those reasons, and cars have been expensive. People have been really up pricing their cars, which creates a similar problem as the housing market. It's this artificial lack of inventory increasing the prices. But I have some repo stories of people that might be underwater in their loans. Let's see if we think the car industry is going to change anytime soon. Got something in my eyeball. But the first story, vehicle is dying. Upside down. What is the next best move? So monthly net income is $3,800, so they're probably making 40 to 50 grand. Their rent is $1,100. That's pretty good, but it's still a large part. I mean, I guess it's under a third. I'm kind of cheap. Food, utilities, and cell phone, $700, decent. Insurance, decent. Fuel, $200. Medical debt, $200. The largest cost is the car payment, $638 a month for 17 more payments. Got the car and made a lot more money when he bought it, over $100K. But life gets in the way. I owe $10K on the car, and it's fair condition according to KBB. There's damage though. Costs anywhere from $500 to $5,000. If it ends up $5,000, I'm not sure if I can stomach it. There's 150,000 miles. Yeah, it's a BMW, but I'm not sure how reliable. If my car is fucked, I will be upside down on my loan by 4 to 5K. How terrible would it be to roll over on this loan? That's pretty painful. So we're kind of learning a lesson here. When you make just over 100K, because to be honest, if you're making 150K, you usually put squiggle 150K. Like over 100K is lots of 100K. So if you are significantly above that number, you usually point it out. So this person probably makes between $100,000 to $125,000 at the time they bought the BMW. I don't know if that's enough money to buy a new BMW that's on loan, but let's go to another horror story. How to get out of an upside down car loan. So recently I bought a car 3 months ago for 17 grand after taxes and everything. The car has now been appraised for $13,000 with a super high APR. What do I do? My credit is only 5 months old. I'm young, 18, young and dumb. That's rough. That's also predatory by these car salespeople to get an 18-year-old into 5 grand worth of useless debt. That's sad to see. But next one, when is the right time to give up on an old car? I have a 2005 Outback I bought several years ago for about 5 grand with 135,000 miles. Okay, so I'm gonna say I bought a 2012 Nissan Cube in like 2018 for 5 grand. It had like 40,000 miles on it. Yeah, that's like a really good deal, but I set up Craigslist alerts for a really specific qualifications. Like I wanted really low mileage, really newer car. I wanted a fob key, like the push to start, and that's what the Cube had. But guys, have some higher standard on car prices. Yeah, okay, it's an Outback. It's gonna be worth more. I hear you there, but still. She says since she's bought it, now it's about 200K miles. She needs repairs. It's looking like almost $5,000 worth of, $4,500 worth of repairs. Wow, so she can't really like afford to repair it, can't really afford to get a new car. And that's what happens with a car bubble. And it's not just people who sell cars that are making this bubble. Don't forget, it's the microchip aspect, and also I'm sure there was a lot of people right after COVID that probably sold their car, that increased it. Another story, buyer's remorse. Should I sell my car at a loss? I purchased a new car in March 2022 for 24 grand at a 3.75 interest rate. I think that's kind of high for a car. Current payments, auto, gas, maintenance, insurance is just about 20% of my post-tax income. That sounds huge. With the trade-in value, down payment, loan payoff, and other costs, I calculated my overall loss would be around 2 grand. In my mind, I will be saving money long term. My car payments would decrease approximately $150 and my insurance would decrease by $75 a month. I would be recouping the loss in 9 months. What do you guys think? Let's see if anyone said anything good. What car are you getting for a lot less than 24 grand? That is such a good point. If you even get rid of your car right now for 24 grand. I saw someone on one of these posts had bought a car for 2018. I bought a 2018 Subaru for about 12 grand. She had bought a 2018 Hyundai for 22 grand. Maybe it's one of these stories we'll see pop up, but the next one, need to get a reliable car, and I'm upside down on my car loan. I have a 2012 Jeep Liberty with 190,000 miles. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. I start a new job next month where I'll be driving 20 miles each way, 4 to 5 days a week, and I still owe 4 grand on this. It's probably worth less than $1,000. Wow. I gotta say, a Jeep Liberty that has 200,000 miles on it, that's only 10 years old, worth $1,000. They drove that car really intensely. It really wasn't maintenance too well, but this person needs a new car and they're underwater with this car. What are they gonna do? This is a bigger problem than they're talking about in the media. This guy, I own $47,000 on a 2020 Silverado 1500 crew cab. That could have been even a used car because they probably put maybe $5,000 down, and if that were a new car, it would definitely be more in the $60,000. But they can no longer afford it. Credit is 700, and fearing that it will plummet. What should I do? And it's a really souped up car. This person is 35. Can they sell it back to the dealership? A commenter says, selling the truck and closing the loan should only ding a couple of points. That's interesting. I wonder how bad it'll affect people's credits with all these repos of cars. But another story, I financed a car without any knowledge of how to do so, and now I'm upside down on a loan. These are terrible stories. It's another 19-year-old with no real credit history. So they went to Car Hop, financed a vehicle with 7 grand down at 19% APR for 55 months. That should be illegal. The car was a piece of shit 7 months later, and now he went to CarMax to trade it in. He was offered $1 grand. That's $4,500 in equity to roll over. He would have to spend 10 grand to get a new car. Oh, this is so painful to hear. They totally screwed this person over, this young 19-year-old with this crazy high. I understand they have a high APR. This person probably has no cosigner or parents. But people have been really set up for failure. It seems like with a lot of these stories, like obviously they did make decisions that weren't good, right? You can't take accountability away, but there's some predatory behavior. Upside down on the car loan. Does anyone have any good resources on getting out of an upside down car payment? Unfortunately, bought a car for 30 grand last year when there was no money needed to put down. The car is now only worth 25 to 26,000 if it sells privately, and he owes 34 grand on the loan, probably interest. So already 9K underwater on a car. I tried to talk about downgrading the vehicle for lower payments, but that could affect the interest rate because it will change his credit. Ugh. Let's see another one. Own 2 cars upside down on one. Is it possible to trade both and then be right side up? One is a 2021, one is a 2015. The person suggests selling the one car for $20K paying off the 11 grand owed on it, taking that 9K to pay off some of the 34 grand owed on the 2021 car. Okay, this is unsolicited financial advice, but if you can't afford to buy half of the car with cash up front, and I'm saying pay for it in cash and it not be like your whole savings paid out. Sometimes we do have to make investments where we wipe out our savings, but ideally with a car, you want to be able to buy half of it straight up with the money in cash and not be wiping out your savings. Getting a 30 grand car, I'm like, you really got to have a reason to have that car. Are you driving 30 miles a day? But people have been really sold on the lifestyle, especially I think people in tech, once they make over 100 grand earlier in their career, it's really easy to spend a lot of money and get in these like car loans. You had mentioned one person, if you had noticed, one person had mentioned they bought the car when they were making over 100 grand. There's just something about people in tech that salespeople see tech engineers and just they salivate. They think they're going to take advantage of this tech person or just make money because tech has a lot of money. Let's be real. We have 4 more posts. Truck engine needs to be replaced that I still owe money on. Oh, it's one of those big trucks. The person says that it would probably cost about $17,000 to fix. So, okay, sell it, right? Comparable truck, similar, used cars, similar numbers like age and miles, 50 grand. Wow. So imagine that you have a car that's falling apart and like this big expensive fix, and to just get the same kind of replacement, you're even more in trouble. That's a sign that things are popping. And I think that the car industry is going to affect tech in 2 ways. Number one being the microchip shortage. Like there's a chance that there's going to be a ton of these car repoed. Like this guy says $34,000. He's trying to he got a car loan, but now it's worth 10 grand less. He also pays a ton of money in insurance and doesn't know if he should sell it or keep it and keep paying. Well, that's going to bring a lot of cars onto the market when cars get repoed and people can no longer pay them. When you add that to other initiatives happening, like GM is trying to build a microchip plant and a semiconductor plant in the US. So you add that to the market, it's like, it feels kind of like the housing market, right? Housing builds had been on several year record-breaking highs of new home builds across the country, like especially Denver. They had never seen that many new home building permits, and so we're coming to a time in America where there might be an over-inventory of new homes as interest rates go up and homes get more expensive, but the prices aren't really dropping yet, and that's a bubble, right? You cannot agree because obviously the news and the media doesn't always agree with that, but there's obviously a car bubble, and the car bubble is going to burst. I would expect to see more layoffs in the car industry. If you watch my layoff video, you know that there's electric car companies that are laying off some of their staff, despite producing a record number of cars, still laying off their staff. And so it'll be interesting to see how the car industry plays out next spring to next fall. I have 2 more horror stories. I'm about $1,800 away from maxing out on my credit card. Oh, I need some insight. He makes 77 grand a year. His rent is $1,500. Car payment, $266. This person has really reasonable budgeting on their car, and they have this burden of credit card debt. I know this is not the only person in that situation. Last story, I totaled my car, which I got a terrible deal on. Oh my gosh, paid $22,000 for it. Insurance deemed it worth $11,000. So now I'm upside down on the loan. What do? I mean, obviously this person has to accept that they have 11 grand in debt they can say it's from a car that they bought that was overpriced, that got totaled, that's not being paid for, or they can just accept that they have debt and move on. So as you can see, I think that debt is increasing in the car industry. Please check out my other video I'm posting this week. It should already be posted about the microchip industry and things changing, especially when it comes to China and Taiwan. Let me know your thoughts on the question, or let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that these stories are real? Can these sound believable to you? I'm reading this right off Reddit. These are all posted within the past few days. So I'd love to know in the comments if you really thought people were in that much financial trouble. Please subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think in the comments. I did a whole video without cutting any part of it, so I'd love to know if you like this new style of video, and subscribe. Share this channel with your friends. I could use some subscribers so people can find my channel. Only 4 to 5% of people watching this video subscribe to my channel, so please share the love with me and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.